The sun has barely begun to rise when a bone-chilling roar slices through the morning fog. Birds explode from the trees, scattering into the pale sky. David, a seasoned wildlife ranger with sunburned arms and a heart too big for his own good, snaps his head up from his tiny campfire. His pulse hammers. Another roar, raw and ragged, echoes across the savannah. He grabs his worn leather pack and sprints toward the sound, boots pounding over dew-soaked grass. As David pushes through thorny bushes, the smell of blood smacks him in the face. He bursts into a clearing and freezes. There, only a few yards away, a massive lion lies thrashing in a cruel snarl of barbed wire. His golden mane, once regal and full, is now matted with dark, sticky blood. The lion's amber eyes are wild with terror and fury, teeth bared in a grimace that could shatter bone. David's throat goes dry. He knows this lion. Kuma, the silent king of these plains, a ghost among rangers, a living legend. Kuma jerks violently, the wire biting deeper into his powerful muscles with every move. Each twist opens fresh gashes, staining the ground crimson. David steps forward instinctively, his hand out in a calming gesture. His voice trembles, but stays firm. "Easy, boy, easy. I'm not here to hurt you." Kuma roars in answer, a sound so fierce it rattles David's ribs. But there's something else in that roar, a plea, a crack of desperation beneath the rage. David crouches, scanning the tangled fence. The barbed wire is wrapped around Kuma's front legs, chest, and part of his neck. It's a savage trap left behind by illegal poachers, a silent killer meant for anything unlucky enough to wander too close. For a split second, David's mind screams at him to run, to turn back and call for backup, to wait for a team, to play it safe. But then Kuma's eyes meet his. Behind that feral blaze, David sees the same helplessness he's seen in orphaned cubs and dying antelopes, a silent cry for help. The air feels electric. Every breath is thick with danger and raw instinct. David wipes sweat from his brow, his hands trembling as they hover near the wire. Kuma tenses, muscles flexing, claws scraping at the dirt. Another roar tears through the morning air, echoing off distant hills. In this moment, David is painfully aware of the line between life and death. He swallows hard, tightening his grip on the wire cutters he's pulled from his pack. Every instinct in his body screams in terror, but his heart, his reckless, unstoppable heart, beats louder. David takes one final breath, steps forward, and locks eyes with Kuma. The act closes on this razor-edge standoff. A man and a lion, both trapped in each other's fate, neither willing to back down. David's heart beats like a war drum as he inches closer to Kuma. The lion's massive chest heaves, each breath labored and wet. His golden eyes, glazed with pain, lock onto David's every move. One wrong twitch, and David knows those teeth could shred him in seconds. Kuma gives a warning growl, low and guttural, the sound of a wounded king refusing to surrender. David halts, feeling every hair on his arms stand on end. He forces his voice steady, whispering, "It's okay, Kuma. I'm here to help you." But the lion doesn't understand words, only fear, pain, and instinct. David glances at the wire cutters in his trembling hands. He knows he should wait for backup, call for tranquilizers, anything safer. But there's no time. Kuma's breathing is shallow, foam gathering at his mouth. If he waits, the lion will bleed out or choke in his own exhaustion. David drops to his knees, his fingers brushing the dry earth. Slowly, he slides forward, closer to the gleaming spikes. Kuma's claws dig into the dirt, eyes wide, as if deciding whether to strike. A single swipe could end David's life, but he keeps going. His pulse roars in his ears louder than any lion's call. He reaches the first loop of barbed wire tangled around Kuma's foreleg. The metal is soaked with blood, strands of fur caught between the cruel hooks. David's stomach churns at the sight. He hesitates, inhaling the sharp scent of iron and wild musk. "Please, stay with me," he murmurs. his voice barely above the wind. Kuma's head snaps forward, jaws opening wide in a silent snarl. David flinches but doesn't retreat. He inches the cutter into the first knot, trying not to tremble. A sudden jolt. Kuma lunges forward, stopping inches from David's face. Their eyes meet, raw fear battling raw resolve. David holds his breath, frozen in the lion's hot, stinking exhale. Then, impossibly, Kuma slumps back down, his head lowering to the ground. It's as if he's made a silent decision, a fragile truce in a world built on survival. David seizes the moment, snipping the first strand. Blood spurts, staining his forearms. Kuma shudders violently but stays down, his body twitching under the pain. David works faster, his hands a blur, each cut bringing a fresh wave of danger. As more wire loosens, David crawls closer, wrapping an arm around Kuma's broad shoulder for leverage. His skin prickles with terror. Every heartbeat feels borrowed. He's never been this close to an adult lion before, not like this, not with death hanging above them both. Another snip, another shudder. David's breath quickens, sweat dripping into his eyes. He feels Kuma's heartbeat thrumming against his forearm, wild, fierce, yet weakening. The final seconds stretch into eternity. Each sound, the metallic snap, the ragged breaths, the echo of distant birds, feels amplified in his skull. At last, David positions the cutters for the deepest loop around Kuma's chest. He takes one final shaky breath, whispering, "Hold on, just one more." He presses the blades down. A metallic crack splits the air, and the wire begins to give way. The act closes on David's face, eyes wide, skin pale, frozen between horror and hope, as he realizes he's crossed the point of no return. The final strand snaps, echoing like a gunshot across the clearing. David staggers backward, breath tearing out of him in ragged gasps. Kuma jerks forward, roaring so loud it shakes the leaves from the nearby acacias. His massive paws thrash, claws ripping through the dirt as if trying to tear open the earth itself. David's heart pounds so hard he can't hear his own thoughts. He raises the wire cutters like a shield, though he knows they're useless against a lion's fury. Blood splatters his hands, his shirt clings to his chest, soaked in sweat and Kuma's blood. For a moment, Kuma looks like a demon sprung from an ancient nightmare. His mane bristles, eyes blazing with a mix of pain and wild rage. He stumbles to his feet, his giant frame trembling. His head swings toward David, eyes narrowing into slits. David's body locks up. Every muscle screams for him to run, but his feet stay rooted. One slow breath, another. He can feel Kuma's hot breath on his face, see the foam clinging to the lion's black lips. Kuma takes a staggering step forward. The earth vibrates beneath David's knees. A tremor runs through his spine as he raises one trembling hand, palm open. "Easy, easy, Kuma," he whispers, voice breaking. Kuma's ears twitch. His gaze drops to David's outstretched hand, then flickers to the bloody wire cutters on the ground. For one heart-stopping second, it seems he might lunge, jaws snapping around David's neck. But instead, Kuma falters. His massive shoulders sag, as if the last of his strength has drained away with the blood on the ground. He collapses onto his side, a choked growl rattling deep in his chest. David scrambles forward, instinct overriding fear. He presses his hands to Kuma's wounds, trying to slow the bleeding. Warm, sticky blood oozes between his fingers. He mutters half-formed prayers, curses, and desperate pleas. "Stay with me. Don't give up now. You're free. You're okay." Kuma's eyes flicker open and closed, amber light fading like a dying flame. His breathing is shallow, chest heaving in uneven jerks. David feels each rise and fall. Beneath his palms, a fragile thread tethering the lion to life. The savanna around them seems to hold its breath. Birds stop calling. Even the breeze pauses in the tall grass. In this suspended silence, David presses harder, his own tears dripping onto Kuma's mane. Kuma lifts his head weakly, turning those deep golden eyes toward David. There is no rage now, only exhaustion and something else. A glimmer of recognition, of surrender. David's breath catches. He remembers stories from other rangers, of animals who seemed to understand acts of mercy, of creatures who looked into a human's eyes and saw something beyond prey or predator. Kuma's head drops again, heavy against the dirt. David slides an arm under the lion's neck, supporting it gently, whispering, "You're safe now, I promise." The act closes as the first rays of golden sun break through the trees, lighting up the blood-soaked scene. Man and lion lie together on the earth, one trembling, one fading, locked in a moment so raw it feels almost sacred. Kuma lies still, his breath shallow, each exhale a rattling ghost in the morning air. David's fingers tremble as they press against the lion's sticky fur. Blood seeps between his knuckles, but David doesn't let go. He leans in, whispering into Kuma's ear, "Fight. You're stronger than this. You're the king, remember?" Slowly, impossibly, Kuma's chest lifts in a deep, trembling breath. His heavy eyelids flicker open. David freezes, his face inches from Kuma's massive head. Those golden eyes search David's face, slow and unblinking, like he's memorizing every line. Kuma struggles, his paws digging into the dirt as he pushes himself up. His entire body shudders under the effort, each muscle straining. David stumbles back, falling onto his hands. He's torn between helping and protecting himself, every instinct warring inside him. Kuma sways on unsteady legs, his silhouette a ghostly figure in the golden haze. David watches, breath held so long his lungs burn. Then Kuma does something no one could ever predict. Instead of turning to flee into the wild, the lion takes a slow, staggering step toward David. Another, and another. The ground vibrates under each heavy paw. David's eyes widen in disbelief, his body paralyzed. Kuma stops just feet away. His massive head lowers, mane brushing against David's knees. In that moment, all the savagery vanishes. David slowly extends a shaking hand. His fingertips graze Kuma's coarse fur, and he feels the heat radiating off the lion's body. Kuma leans forward, pressing the side of his massive muzzle against David's open palm. A warm, heavy exhale spills across David's arm. The gesture is so gentle, so deliberate, that David's vision blurs with tears. Time seems to stop. The man and the lion stand locked together, two wounded souls connected by an unspoken understanding. David whispers again, his voice cracking, "Thank you. I'm so sorry this happened to you." Kuma's ears flick back, and for a second he closes his eyes as if savoring the touch. Then he lifts his head, looking beyond David toward the open savanna. With a final nudge, Kuma steps past David. His massive paws sink into the wet grass, each step stronger than the last. The morning light catches on his mane, turning it into a burning halo. David watches, his throat tight, hands limp at his sides. Kuma pauses once at the edge of the clearing. He turns his massive head, eyes meeting David's one last time. There's a deep calm there, a silent promise, something almost like gratitude. David lifts a shaky hand in farewell, unable to form words. Kuma gives a slow blink, then turns and strides into the tall, golden grass. Within moments, his form dissolves into the shimmering horizon, leaving only rustling blades and drifting dust behind. David collapses to the ground, shaking with shock, relief, and a tidal wave of emotion too big to name. He presses his bloodied hands to his face, sobbing openly. The act closes as the sun rises fully, bathing the empty clearing in gold, a silent monument to an impossible moment shared between man and king. David kneels alone in the clearing, the morning light spilling across his blood-soaked arms. His breathing comes in shuddering waves, each exhale a shaky release of everything he held inside. The barbed wire lies twisted and useless in the dirt beside him, a cruel reminder of the battle just fought. He wipes his eyes with trembling fingers, smearing blood and tears across his face. In the distance, he can still see the grass parting where Kuma disappeared, as if the land itself carries the lion's spirit forward. David tries to stand but collapses back down, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. A distant hum rises, the rumble of a rescue vehicle speeding across the savannah. David's radio crackles with frantic voices, but he can't muster the strength to answer. He stares at his open palm, still tingling from the touch of Kuma's muzzle. That warmth lingers, more real than the sun above him. Moments later, fellow rangers arrive, leaping from their truck with wide eyes and sharp cries. They rush toward David, expecting a scene of tragedy. Instead, they find him kneeling, dazed, smiling through tears. One ranger, Elias, clasps David's shoulders. "Where's the lion? Are you hurt?" David's voice breaks as he whispers, "He's gone. He's free." Elias's eyes flick toward the torn wire, the deep claw marks, the blood-streaked earth, then back to David's face. Slowly, realization dawns. Word of the encounter spreads like wildfire. News crews swarm the reserve gates within hours. Photos of David's bloodied arms and the ruined trap flood social media. People around the world watch, replaying shaky footage captured from a drone overhead. Viewers argue whether it was gratitude, exhaustion, or some deeper connection that kept Kuma from striking back. But to David, the truth is clear. Kuma chose to spare him. Kuma understood. David spends the following days under medical care. Stitches close the deep scratches on his arms. 4 lines pump warmth back into his veins. But nothing heals the raw memory of those eyes, that final nudge. When he finally stands on his porch again, staring out at the shimmering plains, the horizon feels different, alive, sacred. A single gust of wind carries the smell of dust and dry grass, and David closes his eyes, picturing Kuma's silhouette against the rising sun. Late one evening, David steps outside with a small lantern. He walks to the old fence line, the same place where Kuma vanished. There he plants a wooden marker, hand-carved and simple. On it, he etches a single word: Kuma. He kneels before it, head bowed, hands clasped together in silent gratitude. The savannah hums softly around him, a quiet chorus of cicadas, distant roars, and the endless sigh of wind through tall grass. David rises slowly, his heart heavy but alive with something new, respect, wonder, and an unbreakable bond that no trap or fear could sever. He turns back toward his home, the first stars blinking into the vast sky above him. The act closes on David's silhouette, standing tall against the twilight, as if watching over the land for both man and lion. In that shared darkness, one final echo of Kuma's roar drifts across the plains, a promise that he is still out there, wild and free. David and Kuma's story isn't just about survival, it's about trust, forgiveness, and the fragile line between fear and understanding. In that golden moment, a lion and a man chose something rare: peace over violence, gratitude over instinct. If this story touched your heart, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who believes in the power of compassion. Drop a comment below. What would you have done in David's place? Have you ever felt a connection with a wild animal that left you speechless? We can't wait to read your thoughts. Until next time, remember, true courage lives in those who choose to help, even when the world says to run.